As you all know, well-accomplished rapper and activist Killer Mike had quite the eventful Los Angeles weekend. Before he won 3 Grammys on Sunday and arrested for getting into what police reported as a physical altercation with security later that evening, the Atlanta native swung by Bill Maher's show for a guest appearance on Friday to engage in a rather interesting reparations debate with the host and fellow panelist, New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu. Adam, please play the tape.
Oh, hold on. Tape's coming up. Tape is coming up. There.
But I do think this country could benefit from a reparations package that included cash, that included reversal of redlining by helping black people be homeowners, understand credit, and understand Americans that if the black community has more money, this country has more money. Yeah, and we need to start seeing ourselves in a relationship.
Right. As long as we have the topic on the table, what do you think about that? Reparations.
Vivek Ramaswamy just texted me his Taylor Swift playlist. I haven't been paying attention, so I'll pass.
Wait, you're dodging this question?
I'll dodge out.
Really?
In terms of what, reparations?
Sending out a check.
Someone's got to pay. No, I'm not for reparations. I'm not for that at all. At the end of the day, this country owes $34 trillion, and the government doesn't owe that money. You all owe that money.
And also,
don't be fooled. The money's got to come from somewhere.
There's a difference between collective guilt and individual guilt.
Why don't you feel guilty? No,
I don't.
Yeah, and
because I didn't do it.
I think more black conservatives, but you benefited from it. You benefited from it, and you still benefit from it.
Yes, that's true too.
So my thing is just help spread the benefits.
But you know there are reparations that do go on in different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't say absolutely just give me a few $1 million and I'm fine. No, I think that trade and higher level education. I do think a cash payout. I think that there should be a mortgage forgiveness. I think that we should have an incentive to incentivize black wealth in this country. Robert Smith, black billionaire, had an interesting conversation where he wanted to tax corporations 2% of wealth. Imagine what 2% of multi-billion-dollar companies does for black society. What it does is it creates a place where it's not perfect, but Atlanta black people have opportunity. And if you talk to Governor Brian Kemp in Georgia, we also have a Republican governor who I have a relationship with. For the last 10 years, we've been #1 in business. We've created over 60,000 jobs and have more jobs coming. I would challenge you to help put together a reparations package that made the rest of America look more like the opportunity.
Well, he's from New Hampshire. That's not going to happen.
But if I may. Lord knows I didn't want to get into a reparations discussion.
It would cost you hundreds of dollars up there.
And then you got again, what about the Native Americans who are, you got to go down the list. And when we're done with the reparations package this year, what about
you don't hear black people arguing against reparations for anyone. We've never argued against reservations. We've never argued against any payouts for people America's wrong. We're simply saying while we're at the table, let's do something to aid the people that until 60 years ago lived in apartheid.
Okay, but like
60 years is not very long.
With Native Americans, we gave them the casino industry. Yeah. What about, supermarkets?
Could black people have the marijuana industry?
Well, something like that.
Look at his fucking face. Would you give us marijuana? Multi-billion-dollar industry. It's still fresh. It's still growing. Why doesn't Killer Mike have a marijuana license in Georgia?
I'm out of the business.
Will you call Brian Kemp for me?
I'll call Brian right now. I don't know how the discussion's going to go. Brian's a great friend, but...
If you're going to buy marijuana, I would suggest you do it at the Woods, which is the great pot shop here in L.A., which I'm a part owner of with Woody Harrelson. Okay, what do you think of the news that NASA says the moon is shrinking? Fucking Biden.
All right.
Yeah.
So, I think we found the root of the anger that was being carried all through the weekend by Killer Mike that ended up being taken out on that poor security guard. But as MJ Moments Ben Adlin suggested, Killer Mike's long been an advocate for cannabis reform, even teaming up with other celebrities to encourage the Biden administration to issue pardons for past cannabis-related crimes. Back in 2020, he challenged then-President-elect Joe Biden to adopt the marijuana legalization plan of Senator Bernie Sanders, whom the rapper has credited with largely inspiring the legalization movement. But this reparations angle is a new one. While I don't personally think it's as cut and dry, especially at this point in the game, to just hand over control of the industry to black leadership, with the miscues we've seen occur from state to state regarding social equity, maybe a more reparations-driven version should be open for discussion in emerging red state markets in the South, that have a more lasting and visible history of institutional racism, like Mike's home state of Georgia. In no way do I believe it had happened right out the gate, or exactly how we think it should happen, but an interesting thought experiment nonetheless. And I applaud Mike for bringing up the R word so fearlessly on stage with white men in positions of power like Sununu and Mar. Uncomfortable conversations like this need to happen for change to eventually occur. And the recorded reactions of white men being challenged should also be digitally immortalized so we all know where they stood when the rubber actually meets the road. But those are just my thoughts. I'd love to hear from the rest of y'all. My name is Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street for High at 9 News. Let's talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
Jason.
Talk about it Tuesday. Come on now. I mean, he is just ridiculous when he says give the black community the cannabis industry.
Just
I mean, why would they want? Why would they even want that?
Say it.
That's
right.
just going to give them all just more debt. And I mean, this is just crazy. Now, I'm not totally opposed to reparations in some type of something or whatnot, but I don't think this is the way to go.
What would reparations look like to you, Jason?
What would it look like to me? Well, this is the whole thing. So let's. If you're going to have reparations, you'd have to come out with qualifiers. And in today's age of definitions being crossed and merged with everything, I don't understand how you would ever. You're going to have situations like that lady in Washington that claimed that she was black that was all white. You're going to have all of that, okay? And so it just doesn't. Huh?
There have been several models that have been proposed in situations like that have been handled in those models.
Have they? Have they been handled? Have they really been handled?
In those hypothecated models. If you want to have a serious conversation about it, there have been several serious conversations about this with formulas, in fact, presented that actually handle.
What's the formula for reparations, Rico? What's the number?
No, my question to you is, what would fair reparations look like? You said you are down for it. You said you think some kind of reparations should go.
I mean, yeah, like if we're giving $40 billion to Ukraine, yeah, I like who cares at that point? We already have crazy gross overinflation and whatnot, and who really cares? Like the U.S. dollar is tanking and everything, so why not just throw it everywhere? Just treat it like
just give it away because it's not worth anything.
Yeah, treat America like a strip club.
No, it's not.
Wow,
that's not. No. So
very loaded.
So here,
talk about strip clubs and reparations, but go on, Yarrow, please.
You see how those?
I mean, so here's the thing: if you're a Republican and you buy into the notion of trickle-down economics, then if you take money and you circulate it in the economy, you create wealth for a lot of the recipients of that money. You create wealth for car dealerships. When he talks about home ownership, how many real estate agents, how many title companies, how many marketing companies, how many people are going to benefit from that money being spent, right? And so when I think about money and reparations, I think about it in terms of a stimulus package. I think about the way in which those people, they're not just going to take that money, put it in a bank, get 2% and not spend it. And they're not going to spend it overseas either. And so I think we really need to think about, and to get the widest coalition of support around this conversation, we need to think about how a lot of other people benefit or would benefit from money being spent domestically. And we do know we've got some stains on our CV. We are one of the greatest countries in the world, and we've got some problems in the past. They're not skeletons in our closet. They're really obvious. And what would this do energetically to our country to say, ooh, yeah, no, that was not our best. I mean, come on, we sterilized black men. Come on, we did a lot of stuff that was not okay. And we can be proud of who this country is while still insisting that we do better and that we acknowledge the missteps. And so think about what that money would do, because I guarantee none of those recipients are going to sit there and do nothing with it. It would be a stimulus package, and it would also be a message to the world. It would be a message to the world about accountability. And if the United States wants to resume or maintain some position on the world stage when it comes to what a moral compass looks like, then doing something like this could be a resounding now what? And we would pound our chest, and a lot of money would get circulated, and a lot of people besides black recipients would benefit.
Yeah. What do you think about this one, Todd?
I think it has to come into the form of housing assistance, college assistance, small business loan assistance. That solves Yara's problem, right? Because then this money gets distributed around. But I think that's what it has to be around. I don't think writing everybody a check for 10 grand or whatever that number ends up being is the right thing to do. But I do think that it was a shameful time in America, and we should teach about it. It shouldn't be removed from schools the way it's doing in your favorite state, Jason, Florida.
It is not removed from schools. You
just can't admit that those guys are knucklehead racists.
That's not what they're doing at all. It's not what they're doing at all.
They're just a bunch of, they're afraid of the white race going away.
CRT should not be taught in schools.
And think about Sununu's misstep when he talks about this isn't the government's obligation. This is all of your obligation. If Sununu was to take this and reframe it, not in terms of the obligation every taxpayer has to the national debt, but was to reframe it and to say, think about every black person that walks down the street having X number of dollars they could spend on your small business.
Right.
It changes the mindset of the people who would need to buy into this in order for this to get some critical mass and some momentum. And so instead of looking at it as a liability, I look at it as more people with more wealth spending more money in my community.
Well, that's the thing, though. Governor Sununu, there's not a big black population in New Hampshire, bro.
That's why he has zero opinion.
So he's not going to get. His state's not going to get a lot of that business.
Well, they have a pretty strong mixed population there too, because of a lot of the descendants of slaves from a lot of those white people in power. There's a lot of mixed people in New Hampshire. I've done some work in New Hampshire.
Well, I thought when you're mixed, you still identify as black, though, Rico.
And you do, and so they have a pretty prominent and very, very impoverished.
I'm not buying that
black community in New Hampshire. Yes, they do.
In like one city.
Go out there.
In like one city. I was just out there.
Go out in Nashua.
I didn't see anyone.
Go out in Nashua. Yeah.
All I saw was all white people serious. When I was there. I was looking in every car.
21,000.
You were self-segregating, Jason. We know.
Yes, right. You were. I'm sure
21,000 African Americans.
You were amongst the people out there, Jason. No, what I'm saying with this is these are the uncomfortable conversations that we definitely need to have. Like, all jokes aside, with this, it is an investment, period. And I feel like the whole social equity experiment that we started out here in California, like it's failed, right? And then the fact that a lot of our white brothers and sisters are struggling in this industry now, are loaded up in this industry with debt, as we see it. We need to start really having these conversations about reparations, especially as we're staring World War III down the line right now. If you want to have black folks on your side in mass, you think we're going to be happy if we're broke? Hell nah, right? The reparations that were given to a lot of the Germans over in Europe, right? It was not going to fix what the Nazis did, but it's a psychological boost that is given that at least you give a fuck about our people, and at least you're saying, acknowledging what happened, and at least saying, yo, here's a little bit of something to help you catch up to where the fuck we are now.
So couldn't the government just say that reparations came in the form of PPE loans?
No, because it's not specific to certain targeted groups. And I think the key here is the economic stimulus component, right? And so we've given out a lot of money to a lot of companies to make sure that those companies spend it in a way that benefits more than just those companies. The TARP program was an example, the bailouts of the banks with the subprime meltdown of 2006, 2007. And so, this is a problem and a stain on our country's history as big as any of the other issues that we've thrown a lot of money at.
Yeah.
Man, I tell you what, I don't think we're going to come to a solution today on the show in regards to this.
But I love the conversation.
I love
you can't have progress without process, Jason. This is part of the process.
Bro, I'm a big part of the process. I get it. Okay.
You need some real gritty sandpaper to smooth that thing on out, right?
I'm all about the grit and the grind. And
Yes, sir.
and
Yes, you are.
And in the words of Mr. Elliot Lewis, sandpaper condoms. You know what I mean? Yes. And on that, we're going to go to a commercial, and we're going to be right back.